Just want to let folks know if you have any questions during the presentation for either my part or Terrill's part, go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. And when there is kind of a natural breaking point, then we will make sure to address your questions. Okay, so let me share my screen here. And then I'm going to move around some windows and share the presentation. Okay, great. So welcome everybody to the video accessibility webinar presented to you from UWIT Accessible Technology Services. This is the summer 2024 edition of this webinar, and we do have some updated information. So if you've joined us for past webinars, we have some new stuff for you regarding Microsoft Teams and also audio description. So I wanted to share with you our agenda for this afternoon. The video accessibility webinar is kind of split into two portions. The first portion will be talking about captioning, and specifically we'll look at captioning and editing captions in Zoom, Teams, Panopto, and YouTube. And then we will also take a look at some caption file examples, and then we'll talk about how to prioritize captioning your videos. And then Terrill's going to come in a little bit towards the end of that section there. And then Terrill's going to continue on and talk more about audio description. What is it? How to prioritize? And then he will also talk about specific approaches for prioritizing and providing audio description for your videos. So for clarification purposes, we wanted to make sure that we presented the differences between the accessibility offices across campus and the responsibilities when it comes to accessibility of videos. So if a student has an accommodation, disability resources for students or DRS, they'll provide funding and support for captioning and audio description if that is part of the accommodation request for that student. And then a Disability Services Office, or DSO, will provide similar services for faculty and staff and visitors to the University of Washington. And DSO also coordinates ASL interpretation and CART captioning for in-person and virtual events. So any requests for those types of services will need to go directly through DSO. Now, Accessible Technology Services, which is the department that Terrill and I are where we work, we provide internal grant funding for captioning high impact videos in a more proactive manner. And we also provide training and support for UW departments with regards to accessible IT in general. And I'll talk a little bit more about grant-funded captioning services more in depth later on in this presentation. Okay, so let's talk about captioning. And we're going to talk about captioning in Zoom, Teams, and Panopto, and YouTube as well. And in a moment, I'm going to demonstrate how to enable machine-generated captions in all of these applications. But it's important to understand that these platforms use machine learning and artificial intelligence to translate human speech into captions, into text captions. And in the case of a live meeting like we're having right now, automated captions are not accurate enough to serve as an accommodation for folks who depend on captions. So even though the accuracy is high, machine-generated captions, they lack the ability to convey context of what is happening, and sometimes they mislabel speakers. Also, any technical, medical, regional, legal or other specialized terms, they are often not transcribed accurately. And that means that you're going to need to edit your captions, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So with that said, for all of these applications, the automated speech-to-text translator engine, it's pretty good for situation when general content is presented. So what we recommend is if you're hosting an event and someone has requested captions as an accommodation, you must make arrangements through DSO to hire a human captioner. And you should not assume that automatic captions are good enough for an accommodation. With that, you want to make sure that you provide adequate advance notice, as it takes anywhere between 2.5 to 3 weeks to schedule human captioners for your events. And it's also a really good practice to announce to the entire audience at the beginning of your meeting that captions are available and how they can access them. So we do have live transcriptions enabled for this webinar, and you're welcome to turn them on by clicking on the CC icon in your Zoom toolbar. And that will actually turn on the captions, and you also have the ability to view the transcript at the same time. Now, enabling captions in Zoom, that needs to happen pretty far in advance of your meeting, and that can be configured when you're logged into your Zoom account through a web browser. So I'm going to switch here to my web browser, and this is my instance of my Zoom account here. And I just want to show you where you can look to make sure that you have this enabled in your Zoom account as well. So you'd go to the settings menu here that's on the left-hand side, and then you'd want to select meeting, the meeting tab at the top there. And then you get another sub menu here on the left-hand side, and you'll want to select in meeting advanced. So we're getting closer. And from here, you do want to scroll down a little bit more until you see we've got a couple of options here for captions. We've got manual captions and we have automated captions. So for machine generated captions, you want to make sure that the automated captions is enabled, and it is here because I can see it's just a toggle switch. If it were off, then it would have a gray background, but it's enabled, so it has a blue background. Now, if you have somebody who is providing cart captions for you, then you also want to make sure that you turn on the option for manual captions and then select the checkbox for allow use of caption API tokens. Okay, and then when you've completed those steps, then you'll need to log into your Zoom account or into your Zoom instance as the meeting host. And then select the caret that's next to the caption icon, or it's included in the caption icon. You've got a little caret there that will expose this little context menu here. And from here, you want to select the option that says Host Caption Control Settings. And that's going to open up this window here. And you want to make sure that Allow Closed Captions for this meeting is selected, just like we can see on this screenshot here. Okay, so once your meeting or your webinar has ended, it's going to take some time to save that recording to the cloud. And when that process is complete, you will receive an email from Zoom with the link to that recording. Now, clicking on the link within that recording will prompt you to log into your Zoom account. So we're back here in my Zoom account in my web browser. And that should take you directly to the recording. Now, something to keep in mind is that it takes a little bit longer for the automated transcript to upload to the cloud, as the speech-to-text engine has to process that information after the video is uploaded. So you want to wait for a second email that says that the transcript has completed uploading to the cloud. And then selecting that link will open it up in the recordings and transcripts section of your Zoom account in the browser here. So it'll look more like that when you click on that link from your email. Now from here, you can select the thumbnail, and that will open up the video in a new browser window. And you've got your main video window here that takes up a lot of real estate. And on the right-hand side here is the transcript of this particular meeting. Now, one thing you want to be mindful of is if you need to trim your video or need to make any edits to the video, you want to do that first, because that is going to affect your captions and you will have to go back and fix them. So you want to make sure that you do any video editing first, and then you can edit the transcript in your browser here. And to do that, it's pretty simple. You just hover your mouse over the text, and then you'll get this little pencil icon. And if I hover over that pencil icon, I'll get a tooltip there that says edit. I can select that, and now I can go ahead and make any changes in this window here. And then when I'm satisfied with those changes, I can select the checkbox to save it, or I can select the X, and that's going to reject those changes. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then once you've done that, then you can review the changes. You can view the video from the cloud recording, and then any fixes to that transcript will also appear in the captions. It may not be instantaneous. So if you're working directly in this in your browser to adjust the transcripts information, you might want to wait a little bit to review it and make sure that those changes have actually taken place. Now, I want to mention that there is a time limit for how long Zoom videos will be saved in the cloud, and I think it's 99 days. I could be wrong about that. So if you do intend to use your recorded Zoom video for an extended amount of time, you might want to consider downloading the video and uploading it and hosting it on another platform such as Panopto or YouTube, where there are not any limitations to the amount of time that videos will be presented or saved, rather. Okay. So let me switch to Teams. Okay, great. Now, Teams meetings can also show automated captions and transcripts, but Teams actually does not save the captions. So if you'd like a saved transcript of the meeting, you can turn that on. Now, to turn on both captions, and transcripts, you want to go to the more option here with the three dots, and then you want to once you do that, then you want to start captions, you want to select the language and speech option, and then you can turn captions on from there. And then to start the transcription, you would go to the record and transcribe options. And then there you can select the option for start transcription. And you can also select your option for recording as well. So once you have recorded and saved the meeting and transcript, that's going to appear in your Teams as a chat once that saving process is complete. So this is a saved a meeting video within Teams itself. And if you want to edit any of the information in here, what you would need to do is you need to select this button here that says View Recap. And that's going to open up a new Teams window. And I wanted to show you something. So it will show you the video, you know, in the center part of your browser, and then on the right-hand side, it will show the transcript. But you can't really make any edits within the Teams view of the video. But there is a link here in the upper right-hand corner that says Open in Stream. So when you do that, it will open up the video in your web browser. And it's kind of similar to Zoom. So you've got your main video window that is, you know, takes up a lot of real estate here on your browser. And then on the right-hand side, you have your transcript of the video meeting itself. And then to change any of the content, the text within the transcript itself, I can hover over the text and I'll get a tooltip there again that says edit. And very similar to Zoom, I can select that. I can make any changes. And then I can select this option here for done, and that's going to make any changes to the transcript within your browser window here. So also like in Zoom, any meetings that are recorded in Teams, they have a lifespan, and it's about 30 days before it's going to be automatically deleted. So again, if you want to keep a recording for a longer amount of time, you should consider downloading it from Teams and then uploading it and hosting it on another platform, such as Panopto or YouTube. And also, if you're experiencing any difficulties with captions or recording meetings in Teams or Zoom or even Panopto, you can reach out to the help desk at help@uw.edu, and UWIT staff can make sure that you have the right permissions to access those options. Okay. So let's switch to Panopto. Here we go. And at this time, it's not possible to have machine-generated captions for live Panopto events, but it is possible to have Panopto recordings captioned after they've been uploaded to your folder. Now, something to keep in mind is that machine-generated captions are automatically enabled whenever a video is added to your folder. And you can confirm that this is true within your Panopto instance by going to your folder right here. And then let's see here, where is my gear icon? Oh, okay. And then you want to go to more actions and then go to settings. And I need to go to settings again. Okay. Did they move it? Ah, okay. So here it is. So under settings at the very bottom where it says captions, this should be the default, the drop-down option here for automatic machine captions should be selected. So that means that any videos that are uploaded to your Panopto instance will have those automatic machine-generated captions. And these are the same steps that you would request machine-generated captions for individual videos that are in your Panopto instance that may not already have captions. But as with Teams and Zoom, you want to make sure that your video is edited before you request any captions, as any changes to the video are going to affect the timing of when those captions appear. Okay, so once those machine-generated captions have completed saving to the cloud, you can edit those captions within Panopto. So you can go back to your saved videos, and then you want to select from the thumbnail version here, you want to select the icon that kind of looks like a movie clapboard with a pencil. And if you hover your mouse over that, I do get the tooltip that says edit. So I'm going to select that, and it's going to open up that video in a new browser window. So We can't make any edits yet to the captions. So what you need to do is you need to select captions from the left-hand navigation menu. And here I can actually see my captions themselves, and then I can make changes in here if I wanted to. And then there's a couple of different things that I wanted to point out in this window. So you've got the main video window here that takes up a lot of real estate. And then down below, you have different thumbnails of images within the video. And just below that, you have the waveform of the audio of the recorded audio for the content of the video. And they kind of line up really nicely with the transcript that appears on the left-hand side there. So not only can you make adjustments to the text itself, but I think you can also make changes. No, you can't make changes. Sorry, you can't make changes to the timing. So unfortunately, but you do have options here to edit. I take that back. You can select the edit button and then you can edit the timing this way. Okay. Now, once you're satisfied, once you've gone through the entire video and you've made your changes, then you can select this apply button, and that's going to save any changes that you've made to this transcript. And you'll notice that there's also a revert button here as well. So sometimes editing captions can get a little bit squirrely and hairy, and sometimes, you know, as a video editor, I have made a bunch of mistakes. And so if you select this revert button, it takes it back to the original auto machine generated captions, and you can start from the beginning there. So that's kind of handy to have. Okay. So let's switch over to YouTube Studio, and we'll review the options for editing captions in that platform. So just like with Panopto, whenever you upload your videos to YouTube Studio, captions are automatically generated using automated speech recognitions, and you don't have to change any settings within YouTube for this to happen. It just automatically happens when you upload. But it's important to note that automatic captions in YouTube, they don't include punctuation or formatting of the text. So you will need to edit the caption file to make it readable and usable. But it's a great place to start with your draft. So I have a couple of videos here opened up in YouTube Studio. And I'm gonna select this video here. And we can take a look at the metadata. But what I really want to do is I'm going to select subtitles here from the left-hand navigation menu. And when I do that, you'll notice that I have two different options. I have English video language, and then I have English automatic captions. And when you first upload your video, the only option you'll have is the first option, video English language. Now, in the center column here under the heading subtitles, if I hover my mouse over that, you'll notice that I get a little pencil icon with a tooltip that says add. So one thing you want to keep in mind, though, is remember in Zoom and Panopto, it takes a long time for the videos to be saved to the cloud, but it takes even longer for the transcript to be saved to the cloud. Well, the same thing is true for YouTube as well. If you select that icon for English video language and edit, a new window is going to open up, and then it's going to ask you, what do you want to do? Do you want to upload a file or a transcript file that has the text? Or auto sync, or do you want to type manually? So all of these options are great if you want to do that, but if you just wait a few moments, then you should get the second option here for English automatic captions. And if you hover over the same the same under the same heading as subtitles, you'll notice that it changed the status changes from published to duplicate and edit. So when I hover over that, I get that pencil icon again, and then I get the tooltip that says duplicate and edit. Now, the length that it takes to save the automatic transcript really depends on the length of the video that you're uploading. So longer videos are going to take longer to produce that automatic transcript. But selecting duplicate and edit is going to open up the video in the caption editor. And you can notice right away that the machine-generated captions in YouTube lacks punctuation and capitalization and formatting. So right now, I'm not able to make any changes. I can click and drag, but I'm not actually able to make any changes yet. So you want to select this button here that says Edit Timings. And then that's going to kind of format the text in a little bit more manageable chunks for captioning. So YouTube has placed the speech bubbles in nice little packaged sentences with the timestamp of when that information is going to be presented on the screen. And then I wanted to show, point out a few more items for this particular view. I've got my main window here where I can view the video itself. And then just below that, I've got another example of the audio waves of the speech that is being recorded. And then right above that, I actually have kind of a preview of the text that is going to be presented on screen. So it makes it really easy if you wanted to change the timing of when that text is going to be presented on screen. I can just click and then drag this information to move it to be presented on the screen in a different location, or I can extend it just by clicking and dragging at the end there. And then I do want to make sure that you are using appropriate capitalization and punctuation as well, so that it makes it a lot easier to read. Okay. Now, as you're working on your captions, you want to make sure to save your drafts, as this will allow you to come back and work on the video at another time if you have a long video. And then when you're satisfied with the changes, then you can select this button here that says Publish, and that will automatically update the changes and issue those right away. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Just want to pause for a moment and see if we have any questions. And I thought I saw somebody's hand go up. Deborah, yes, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask your question?
Yeah, I just was wondering if you were using like Otter AI and you have a file, it's that first of the two that you want to go in and you just replace the file. And then you can go in and make the edits, like drag things around and such. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that clarifying question. All right. Looks like Michelle, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, this is Michelle. Thanks so much, Gaby. Excellent information. Question about when you're in one of these programs and editing the captions. I like to kind of keep to like 27 characters or so per line. And I've been successful doing that in YouTube, but I think in Zoom, unless they've changed something, I found that I couldn't control where the line ends in the captions, or if I wanted to do like two lines to show up at the same time, because maybe like two people are speaking over each other or something. So I wanted to show that in the captions. I felt like I didn't have that ability to do that in Zoom. Am I missing something in Zoom to be able to have that kind of control with how the captions show up line by line and how many characters per line?
Yeah, no, that's a common experience. So the video editor, the caption editor for both Zoom and Teams is very limited. So you don't really have the ability to manipulate the lines of text that are going to be presented on the screen.
Okay.
So if you needed to do that, I would recommend, downloading those videos and then uploading them to YouTube or Panopto,
Yep.
where you have a
Perfect.
lot more robust, it's a
Yep.
lot more robust video editor and caption
Perfect.
editor as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I want to quickly move on so that Terrill has time here. So just wanted to mention that we have a captioning service. So sometimes automated captions aren't great. Sometimes technical terms are used or regional terms, and so they're not transcribed accurately, and you might not have the time to do that, to edit those caption files or the transcript files. So just wanted to point out that we do have a captioning service where we will caption your videos using real humans for free. And we manage this project, and we do this, we provide this service without a charge to your department. So application submissions are reviewed by ATS staff to caption these videos, and we look for like high visibility, high impact. Are these videos used multiple times? Are they strategic? So those kinds of things. And we do have quite a bit of funding available for this service. And I've included a link to it if you wanted to sign up and fill out the application for it. So if you have other videos, you might want to consider using the state contract with 3Play Media, as we do have a contract with them for captioning services, and that provides integration with YouTube, Panopto, and other platforms as well. So on this slide, quickly, I wanted to show you the different caption file options that are offered by 3Play Media. SMI, SRT, Web, VTT, those are all standard file types that are used by popular media players. But the formatting is different for each type of those files, and we'll take a look at that in a bit. So the takeaway from this is that you want to make sure that you understand which file format your video player supports, and that's going to determine the file type that you choose when using this service. So this slide shows us the format of a Web VTT caption file, and you can see it's just plain text, and it has a timestamp associated with where the text is going to appear on the screen and when it's going to disappear. And these types of files can be edited using a plain text editor such as Notepad++. You don't really need a caption editor to adjust them, but it makes it a lot easier. And any kind of mistake to this formatting can really affect whether or not or how your captions are going to be presented on screen. So which videos are highest priority for captioning? So definitely videos that are required viewing for individuals who need an accommodation would be high priority for captioning. But also videos that are likely to be required viewing for individuals who need an accommodation should also be considered. So you want to think ahead to what the needs may be for that particular video. Now, other videos consider ones that are popular and viewed a lot, or videos that are relatively new, and captioning should be part of the workflow of any new videos that are produced that provide critical content. So how do you prioritize your videos for captioning? So right now I'm going to hand it back over to Terrill, and he is going to talk to you about the YouTube caption auditor and other ways to prioritize.
Thank you, Gaby. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Okay, you should see my slides now, I hope.
Yes, we see it.
Great. So this is the just a screenshot from a tool that we developed called the YouTube Caption Auditor, or YTCA. And its purpose is to help with prioritization. So if you have a YouTube channel then you can see all the videos in your YouTube channel through this application, and you can sort them using any of the columns that are in this table. So you can sort by date. So if you wanted to see your newest videos first, you can sort by duration. So if you want to see the longest, caption, yes or no, and finally views. So maybe for prioritization purposes, maybe you want to focus on the most popular videos. And what we're looking at here is a screenshot of a particular channel where there's the most popular video in this channel, and this is an older screenshot, so they actually have fixed this now. But at the time, the most popular video in this channel was a video called "What is Neural Engineering?" and it was not captioned, and so they captioned that. But it also is an older video, so maybe their focus was, newer videos all need to be captioned because those are the ones people are paying attention to today. And so they might sort by date in order to figure that out. So this tool just really helps to kind of help organize all your videos on YouTube. It's not something that YouTube provides directly. So we were able to use the YouTube data API to gather all that information and present it in a way that's useful. So there is a URL here for accessing this application, but you have to request access, so it's protected by UW NetID. And this is intended for owners of YouTube video channels at the UW. And so if that is you, or if you have some sort of responsibility for videos that are on your YouTube channel, then just reach out to me and I can give you access to this tool as well as some tips on how to use it. One of the other things that it does is it provides kind of some incentive. If you caption 100% of the videos on your channel, then you can belong to the 100% club. And this, again, is an older screenshot. I think there are a couple of new ones since I captured this. But I do want to particularly give a shout out to the Do It Center, UW Continuing Ed, and UW Libraries, all of which have hundreds of videos and 100% of them were captioned. So it's possible to do that. There also are listings of the 90% club, 80% club, 70, 60, and 50% clubs. So you can kind of see where your channel stands. And the more you caption, the higher you rise up, within that those groupings. So that's just kind of a fun way, to see sort of where your channel stands against everybody else's. So again, if you don't already have access to that application, then feel free to reach out to me and I can get you access to it. So I want to shift attention to a whole new topic now. We've been talking about captioning for the first part. Now we want to talk about audio description. So captioning helps a lot of people, but particularly people that are unable to hear the audio. And whereas audio description is intended for people that are unable to see the video. So what it actually is a separate narration track that verbally describes key visual content that is not accessible via audio alone. So if a person is watching the video imagine with eyes closed or just distracted, not looking at the video, looking at something else, or if you're a person who is blind and unable to see the video, then what can you get just by listening to the audio alone? If you can't get all of the content, this critical content that is missing, then audio description is the solution to that. So there's a narration track that describes the key visual content that you're missing. And not everybody needs that. And so that's why it's a separate narration track that can be toggled on or off. It goes by different terms. And so audio description is the most common, but sometimes you might see descriptive video or just description by itself, or some variation of those. Another term that's important to keep in mind is extended audio description. And that is when you're adding narration that describes content within the video, some videos don't have enough space for that to actually happen. If somebody is talking the entire time during the video, then where do you stick the narration without it colliding with that dialogue or that monologue that's already in the video? And so extended audio description is a method for delivering audio description where the video gets paused at the moment when description is happening, and then playback is resumed after the description is over. So sometimes with some videos, just depending on how crowded they are audibly, extended audio description might be necessary. And so we'll talk a little bit more about how that factors in. So in terms of prioritizing for audio description, it's kind of the same as captioning. You sort of look at the overall need by audience demographics. If you know that you're going to have people in your audience who will need description, then certainly that's going to rise to the top. But also, your higher traffic videos, just like with caption, your more recent videos, you can use YTCA to sort of help figure this out, which are your highest priority videos overall for accessibility, and then evaluate those videos for the need for audio description, because not every video needs audio description. Again, if you watch the video with your eyes closed and you come away with a perfect understanding of what this video is communicating, you're not missing any critical details at all, then that probably needs no description at all. But if you kind of break it down into these 3 priorities listed on the slide here, it's a high priority if nothing makes sense with audio alone. It's a medium priority if the video is generally understandable but critical details are lost. And it's a low priority if there's some information that a person is not going to get, but it really isn't critical information. So this is an important part of prioritization, sort of figure out, what exactly is the need? Is it a high priority, medium priority, or low priority? And then focus your efforts on those that are a high priority, where somebody isn't going to understand the video at all if they don't have access to the visual communication. So I've got a few examples here that I wanted to share just so we can kind of think through, is this a high priority, a medium priority, or a low priority? And I don't remember actually if I shared my audio. So just assuming I might have forgotten to do that, I'm gonna stop sharing and then start again and make sure that I check that box this time. And once again, find the right screen. Okay. All right, so let's watch. This is a video from University of Washington called Together We Will. And if you actually want to have just kind of a moment of reflection, meditation with eyes closed, I encourage you to maybe close your eyes and watch this video and ask yourself, do I understand the content of this video? So we don't need to watch the whole video for you to answer that question, probably. If you did close your eyes, then you heard some great music and you probably sensed the drama. This actually, it's a pretty powerful video with a powerful message, but there are words on the screen that are critical to this message, and without narration being built into the video, then you get nothing if you can't see those words on the screen. So this is a video that has obviously a high priority need for description. Here's another example, and this actually is a very similar example to that one, but I'll show it anyway. And this is the best of the UW. This is an annual video that comes out. The president had blogged about it back in 2016. Is just the example that I've picked out, but this happens every year. Let's just watch a brief few seconds of this video. So once again, we've got great music and there's some power. If we watch the whole video, the music really builds and swells, and you really get a sense for the drama of this video. But it's celebrating all the great things that happened at the UW over the last year. And if you can't see what's happening on the screen, you don't get that on-screen text and the images, then you have no idea what we're celebrating, what happened over the last year at the UW. So let's look at another example. This is one from the Do It Center. We have Accessible Technology Services. Do It is a part of our department. We have a library of videos that we've produced over the years. This is just one example. It's called Providing Accessible Information STEM Learning, Informal STEM Learning. So watch a brief segment of this and ask the same question. Is this high priority, medium priority, or low priority?
Providing accessible, informal STEM learning.
I'm Charlotte Martin. I'm the Director of Access Initiatives at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York City. And, one of my big takeaways working in Access for a number of years now is not to assume what an individual can or cannot do, but rather knowing the potential barriers presented by your space or your program or the challenge you're working on, trying to mitigate those as best you can in advance, and then being prepared to offer clear options and information about those options.
Okay, so we're getting kind of low on time. Otherwise, I would ask for you to type in chat or to offer your opinion on whether that's a high priority, medium, or low. And a couple of things that you may have noticed. One, that the speaker here, there's an on-screen graphic that identified that person, both name and affiliation, but she also verbalized that. So if she hadn't verbalized that, then this, I would say, would be a medium priority, maybe even a high priority, because it really is important to know who's speaking, not just hearing their voice, but that establishes some credibility. But since she introduced herself, then there's no need for a separate narration track to do that. The same thing happened at the very beginning when we had on-screen text identifying the title of the video. That was identified by a narrator, that's built into the video. So those needs are met, and I think, then the question hinges on the additional sort of B-roll, the additional content that is presented visually. Is that really critical to the message, or can you come away from this video understanding the message of the video without knowing what's in every scene? Probably I would say this is a medium priority, that it would be nice to have some description of those scenes, but it's not super critical. So it doesn't rise to the top, certainly of the other videos that we had seen where you don't get anything unless you've got, some narration happening. So let me go back to the slide deck. So how do you actually do this? How do you add audio description to videos? Well, there are three approaches. One is to hire a traditional audio description service provider. So there are a few companies that specialize in this, and hire them, work with them to get this job done. Also, vendors who do captioning also now have gotten into the audio description business, and so 3Play Media is a company that we work with extensively for doing captioning. They also do audio description as an add-on service, and so that would be a second option. Third would be to do it yourself using a timed text file. So we're going to talk about each of these briefly. The first approach, hire a traditional description provider. A benefit of doing it this way is those few companies that specialize in this are really good at it, and you get narration with professional voiceover talent. It's professionally mixed, so the audio volume ducks down as the description is happening and then comes back up when the description is over. They just do a really outstanding job of producing a quality product. What they produce in the end is a separate video. Usually this is the deliverable. So you've got a described version and a non-described version, and wherever you offer one, you also offer the other and link back and forth between the two. The typical price for this service is $10 to $15 a minute, but that depends on the complexity of the video. And if you need to do extended description where they have to pause it, then that typically costs a little bit more. There's a short list of providers because a lot of these have been sort of merging with each other, but you can see that on our website at uw.edu/accesstech/videos/description. And I wanted to show an example. This is actually the video that you just saw that was on the president's blog. Notice immediately underneath it, it says video is also available with audio description. There's a link. That actually, I would prefer that be above the video. So, a person knows before they try to watch the non-described version that there is an alternative available to them. But ultimately, if they follow that link, you go to YouTube, and let's watch a little bit of the same video, but this time it has audio description. And this was done by AudioEyes, which is one of the professional audio description houses.
Words appear. Hashtag Best of UW 2016. The Nobel Medal next to David J. Tholis. 2016 Nobel Prize in Physics with President Obama. Mary Claire King. National Medal of Science. UW and Microsoft break record for DNA data storage. A collage of photos. Inaugural Husky 100.
So that's an example of professionally done audio description using method number 1. And again, they just added a link. So that would be how that gets delivered. Approach number 2 is to hire a captioning vendor. So 3Play Media is who we have the state contract with. And it costs a little bit less. And it also is a little bit easier to order because you can just use their online order form. Whereas, with AudioEyes or one of the other audio description specialists, they tend to be small companies without a whole lot of infrastructure. And so you don't have an online, web form necessarily where you order their services. You have to go through a bit more of a process working with them. But so 3Play Media simplifies that. But you have to get your video captioned. And so that's one drawback. If your video is already captioned and you're wanting to go back and get audio description, you still have to get it captioned again because it's an integral part of their workflow. Also, the output uses synthesized speech rather than a human narrator. And that is generally okay for academic content, but if you've got dramatic work or some of these marketing pieces, it really is going to be better if you've got a human doing the narration rather than a synthesized voice. This is just a screenshot of the order form where you can get audio descriptions. You just select that when you're ordering your captions. You've got a whole lot of different voices, synthesized voices that you can choose. And then we're on to approach number 3. So approach number 3 is timed text for audio description. So this is essentially the same as captions. This looks just like a caption file. You've got timestamps, a start time and an end time. And then you've got the text of the caption or of the audio description that you want to be read aloud by the browser or by whatever the software application is that supports audio description in this way. So an advantage of this is it's super easy. All you have to do is type up, your audio description text in a format like this. So you need to know what the format is. But if you can use this format, then you can do this in Notepad or any text editor. Very simple to do. And so if you only need a little bit of audio description, very easy to add this and do this yourself. It also is built into the HTML5 specification. So there actually is markup that is specifically designed to support text-based audio description. And another advantage is you only need one video. So you don't have a separate, described version, non-described version. You just have one video and you add this text file to it. and then you need to have a supporting player that is able to handle that. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. An extended audio description can also be built in. It doesn't need to be a separate video for that. If you've got a supporting media player, then the video will automatically pause when description is being read and will automatically play afterwards. And this is also the approach used by Panopto. And so I actually wanted to do a quick share of Panopto, what this looks like in Panopto. This screen may look similar to what Gaby showed earlier. You've got captions, and this isn't the editor. I don't have edit access to this particular video, but if I did, then I'd be able to edit the captions over here on the left. But notice there's also an option, audio description, and it's exactly the same. So you would, instead of adding caption text, you add description text that you want to be announced at a particular point. And to turn this on, a user just needs to click the audio description button on the player, and then let's watch a little bit and see how this works. We're starting at the beginning, and there is audio description that happens at 2 seconds, and again at 7 seconds. So we'll hear both of those. Now.
Words are displayed as a title on the screen. The excavation process, how we excavate. A man in a dirt hole is shown with a tool in his hand.
I'm going to demonstrate how we actually excavate here at the site. I've got my trowel.
So that was an example of extended audio description. And this is the way Panopto behaves by default. It always is going to pause, play the description, and then continue on. But again, this is do-it-yourself, really easy interface to work with. And it's if you've got videos in Panopto and you discover, oh, there's this content here that is not going to be accessible to somebody that can't see it, then you can just really quickly go in and add some audio description text at that point in the video. And then it's going to be there, for anybody that needs that. So really great example, the way that they have implemented this. Disadvantages are, other than Panopto, this isn't really supported anywhere. We have developed our own media player called Able Player. It's free, it's open source, and it does support audio descriptions in every browser. So if you're using Able Player, then you have access to this, but browsers don't yet support it natively. Also, a caveat that audio description is an art, and so you should only do it yourself if the needs are simple, because the words that you choose to describe content really matter. And people that learn to do audio description go through a lot of training in order to make sure that they are choosing the right words and know when to describe and how to describe and when to just stay back and not interfere with the content of the video. So finally, just a list of resources, and the most important one is our website, uw.edu/accesstech, and from there you can get access to all the other things. These slides, as well as the recording of this video, will go up on our webinars website sometime probably in the next week or two. We want to make sure that we've got good captions on it before we publish it. So that is all I've got. I see there are lots of questions in chat, and we're out of time, but I'm happy to continue on. If there are questions that haven't been answered, then happy to answer those. Or if there are questions for Gaby, we could answer those there as well.
Carol, quick question for you. Do you know if YouTube and Vimeo provide audio descriptions similar to Panopto?
They do not, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. And I think that's it. I tried to answer most of the questions in the chat, so I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you joining us today. It's always good talking about this, and Yeah, if you want to be added to the YouTube Caption Auditor website, just send me an email and I will get you added.